Okay, so hello everyone. Um, in this video, I'm going to cover this rule that I noticed that I haven't covered with you ladies during our revision, which talks about conditional when, not mixed conditional, and basically it focuses on using modal verbs instead of in sentences, and more specifically, it talks about using should instead of if. So let's just go over the rule. So if I say, should you wish to know more, please contact our office, instead of saying, if you want to know more, or if you wish to know more, please contact our office. In this situation, I'm talking about unlikely situation that it could happen. So it means if you need any further information, just call the office. Um, the rule for this sentence is using should instead of if when inverted. How is it inverted? Because I start my sentence with should, then the subject, then the infinitive or the base verb. Because a normal order of a sentence must start with subject, then should, then the base verb. Okay, so while in this case we started with should, then the subject, then the base verb. So the word should can be used in the place of if in conditional sentences to talk about unlikely hypotheticals in formal situations. When I'm talking about formal situations and it's inverted to before the subject, then followed by the infinitive base form of the verb. Okay. Okay, so look at the examples here. It says, should your child have any difficulties, it's a good idea to inform the school. I'm talking about unlikely hypotheticals when, now, in the present or in the future. I'm not talking about the past. Because of that, it's related to conditional type 1. Okay, so instead of saying if your child has any difficulties, because child singular, so if I'm using if, child child must have a singular verb, so has, but here since I'm using should, so it's followed by what? Base verb. Should your child have any difficulties, it's a good idea to inform the school. Should you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Should it become, so pay attention again, the subject here is singular, so if I'm using if, it should be if it becomes a challenge. But here, because I'm using should, and should is a modal verb, so a modal verb should be followed with a base verb. Should it become a challenge, try these steps. Moving back to the rule of the conditional one itself, conditional type 1, where we use it for real and possible situations in the present or the future, and it expresses a condition in the present that will lead to a specific result in the future. So if the condition 1 happens, definitely the result will be achieved and will happen. So if it rains, we will stay at home. If she studies hard, she will pass the exam. If you don't hurry, you will miss the bus. If they invite us, we will attend. So here, this is related to conditional type 1. Why I'm talking about conditional type 1 here now? Because from this slide, I'm going to talk about other modal verbs that I can use instead of well here according to the certainty. But before, let's practice combining these two parts using if. If it snows, as we know that the rule of conditional one is using present simple and future in the result clause. So if it snows tomorrow, we remove the full stop or we replace it with a comma, then we change this one to a small letter. So if it snows tomorrow, we will build a snowman. Or I can start with the result clause at the beginning, so I can say we will build a snowman if it snows tomorrow. If you not water, I need to change this verb to what? to present simple negative. So if you don't water the plants, they will die, or the plants will die if you don't water them. Okay, the same here. If you don't set the alarm, comma, you will oversleep, or you will oversleep if you don't set the alarm. Okay, so this is just a practice for conditional type 1. Again, we use it for possible what or likely possible situations in the present and the future. Now, sometimes I use some modal verbs instead of will. So sometimes I can use should, might, could, or may. So the choice between will and other modal verbs depend on the level of certainty or advice the speaker wants to convey. So if I say, if it rains tomorrow, we should stay at home. We should here, it gives us the sound of advice. It's advisable. Or it's an expected response to the situation, but it's not definitely will be achieved if I use will. Okay, if she calls me, I might answer the phone immediately. I might and I might not. So here, using might instead of will expresses what a possibility. There's a possibility, but not certainty. If I'm using will, it means it's certain. But using other verbs, other modal verbs, using other modal verbs gives me what different functions. Should gives me the sound of advice. Might the sound of possibility. The same for could. It indicates possibility. Look, if you don't water the plants, they could die. It's potential consequence, but not certain. If he studies hard, he may pass. So may also suggests a possibility, not certainty. Okay. Now, sometimes, as what we said, and this is our main rule, that we use should instead of if. So when we use should in hypothetical statements about the present and near future, we use inversion. And omission of if also can be employed for a more formal or literary style. We use it a lot, by the way, in our cover letter. Should you need any further questions, don't hesitate to contact me. We use it in our emails. So in this structure, should is used at the beginning of the sentence instead of if, followed by the subject and then the base form of the verb. So this is the general structure. Should, subject, then base form of the verb. Look here. Should the need arise, you can contact me anytime. This is a formal way of saying if the need arises, because the need is singular. So if I'm using if, I need to add s to the present simple verb of arise. Should he decide to accept the job, he will have to relocate immediately. Originally, the sentence was, if he decides to accept the job offer, blah, 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 he will have to relocate. Should the weather permit, the event will be held outdoors. This one was, or originally, if I want to use it with if the weather permits, blah, blah, blah. Should you require any further assistance, our customer service team will be available 24 hours per 7 days. So if you require any further assistance, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's practice here changing these sentences from if to should. If you want, to succeed in your career, you need to prioritize continuous learning and skill development. So I start with should. Should you want? We keep it the same. Should you want to succeed in your career, you need to prioritize continuous learning and skills. Okay. Pay attention here. If he wants, here I have this S because it suits and it matches the third singular pronoun he. If he wants, but if I'm going to start with should, so I say, should he want to maintain a healthy lifestyle, he should consider or he must consider including regular exercise into his routine. Why did I change should here to must here? Because already I used should at the beginning of the sentence, so it makes sense to change this one to must. Okay. If they aim to build a strong team, they should foster open communication. If they aim, again here I have should. So should they aim to build a strong team, they should foster open communication and a culture of mutual respect. We can keep it the same. We can use must if you don't want to repeat using should and should again. Here, if you study consistently, you will understand the concepts better and perform well in the exam. So it becomes should you study consistently, you will understand the concepts better and perform well in the exam. If she practices regularly, should she practice regularly, she will become a skilled musician in no time. If they invest wisely, they will secure a stable financial future. So if they, no, should they invest wisely, they will secure a stable financial future, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So this is our rule for this video. If you need extra practice and extra explanation for the rule, just press this heart. And thank you for listening, ladies. Bye bye.